Capsule 1. The Freedom Struggle. In this chapter, we are going to learn about Indian National Congress, moderates, extremists, revolutionaries, Gandhian era, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement, farmers and labourers movement, tribal movement, Subhash Chandra Bose, B.R. Ambedkar, and partition of India. In this capsule, we will study about Indian National Congress, moderates and extremists. There were many instances of protest against the establishment of British rule in India. The wars fought by many kings against the British were all in their own self-interest. After the First World War of Independence in 1857, many changes and effective reforms were brought in. Improvements in transport and communication, journalism, establishment of organizations, and changes in administration made people get engaged in huge numbers in many provinces in freedom struggle. Lord Lytton brought in Domestic Papers Control Act in 1878 to exercise control over the Indian publications. Lord Ripon brought in Ilbert Rule to bring in uniformity in the judicial system. The freedom struggle assumed a specific direction as a result of protests all over the country. To avoid armed struggle, the British adopted certain strategies. Consequently, the British government declared the supremacy of Queen in 1858 and announced that Indians were British citizens. Through this step, the British government declared provisions of better amenities to Indians. In the subsequent developments, the aristocratic new generation who learnt English started fighting for their rights in a constitutional manner. This led to the establishment of Indian National Congress. Right from the time of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, the minds of middle-class people of India were getting prepared to face new challenges. During this time, Indian National Congress was established by A.O. Hume in 1885. It worked towards creating political awareness and national attitude. Towards the end, many organizations were established throughout the country. Among them, the Hindu Mela, the East India Association, Purna Sarvajanika Sabha, and the Indian Association prominent. They had limited scope of interest. They were waiting for a national level integration to happen at an appropriate time. It published paper in local languages and started debates on political problems. As a result, the people became aware of the political situation and its problems. The British realized the growing strength of the Congress and started implementing its divide and rule policy. British divided Hindus and Muslims through their manipulative techniques. In spite of this, the Indian National Congress was able to formulate positive plans of action related to national issues. By the end of the 19th century, differences surfaced in the Indian National Congress. Based on the plan of action, beliefs and type of struggle adopted by them, they identified as moderates, extremists and revolutionaries. Traditionally, the first 20 years of the beginning of Congress was called the Moderate Age. Among the moderates, M.G. Ranade, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji and Gopal Krishna Gokhale were prominent. The moderate trusted the British administration and their impartiality. They used to place their requests and appeals before the government within the constitutional framework. The moderates taught the people about the political situation. Moderates held public meetings, discussed about the problems of India, started pleading the British officials for the facilities to resolve Indian problems. For the first time, Dadabhai Naoroji explained about the transfer of Indian wealth to England and called it as drain theory. The main reasons for the drain wealth from India to England was more import and less export. High salaries and pensions to the British officials also led to poverty of India. The main reasons, the age of moderates is also called the age of generous nationalism. Now think and answer. Who founded the Indian National Congress? And the answer is A.O. Hume is the founder of the Indian National Congress in 1885. Who propounded the drain theory? And the answer is Dadabhai Naoroji. Aurobindo Ghosh, Bipin Chandra, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhara Tilak were the prominent extremist leaders. Bengal was the center of protests and anti-British sentiments. In order to curb this, Viceroy Lord Curzon proposed a plan to divide Bengal, citing administrative problems. East and West Bengal, based on Muslim and Hindu population, were created. Thus, by creating differences between the two communities, they tried to reduce the intensity of freedom struggle. Extremists opposed the partition of Bengal in the year 1905, highlighting it as an example of divide and rule policy. Protests started mounting throughout the country against the division of Bengal. The Swadeshi movement was very important among these protests. The Swadeshi movement called for a ban on Western goods and the organizations supporting the import of European items. They encouraged the people to use Indian goods. In the backdrop of these explosive protests in 1911, the British government withdrew the declaration of partition of Bengal. Extremists propagated that good administration can be a substitute for independence. Tilak declared, "Swaraj is my birthright and I will get it at any cost." Through religious functions, he started organizing people for a freedom movement. Lokmanya Tilak utilized his Kesari in Marathi and Maratha newspaper in English for freedom struggle. He encouraged the people to boycott the foreign goods and use the Swadeshi goods. He was imprisoned for his revolutionary articles and inquiries were instituted against him. Dear students, let us now learn about the revolutionaries. Revolutionaries believed that the British could be thrown out of India only by violent means. They held revolutionary activities in various parts of India. They used to make guns, bombs, and even planned to borrow the weapons from the British enemy nations. Revolutionaries shot dead British officials in Lahore. The British lodged cases on them. They did not get deterred, thus, their struggle is a milestone in the Indian history. Now, think and answer. Which were the newspapers started by Tilak? And the answer is Kesari and the Maratha. Tilak inspired the patriotism amongst Indians by celebrating dash and dash festivals. And the answer is Ganesha and Shivaji Jayanti. Who quoted, "Swaraj is my birthright and I will get it at any cost"? And the answer is Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Who among the following was a moderate? And the options are Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bhagat Singh, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Subhash Chandra Bose. And the answer is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Dear students, in this capsule, we have studied moderates, extremists, and revolutionaries. Important questions. Write a note on Indian National Congress. What were the steps taken by Bal Gangadhar Tilak to develop patriotism amongst Indians? Keywords. Uniformity means similarity. Amenities means facilities. Drain means flow. Substitute means alternate. Pension means the monthly grant received by a retired person. Extended activities. Write a brief note on any one extremist. Collect the photographs of moderates, extremists, and revolutionaries. Collect the photographs of early Congress sessions. Thank you.